Ne oldu kızım?
Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending from where you are connected today. And welcome to this new meetup of the ETF community of Innovative Educator. My name is Alessandro Brolpito. I work at the European Training Foundation as a senior human capital development expert, and I'm very glad to moderate this meetup of our community. Today, we will focus on generative AI system and how to apply generative AI system in education and training, taking a lot of attention to the role of teachers and the implication for teachers. We know that since 2022, with the launch of ChatGPT, basically we have been inspired with the possible significant changes in teaching and learning and assessment. And we are more and more aware that this is quite challenges to make it good in an ethical way, for example. So it's quite important to reflect on how to integrate properly in a way to really have to produce a better learning experience or to allow to reach better learning outcomes for the students in your classroom. In this respect, today we will share the work done by the club Teaching with AI. Teaching with AI is a club and is an initiative of the community of innovative educators, our community, to focus, let's say, on the lesson learned by our teachers, by our club members in the use of artificial intelligence in the classroom. Um, so today, let's say we are quite a lot. The number of participants is increasing. So I suggest to use quite a lot the chat to communicate as the best way to do it. So feel you free to write your name, for example, and where you are connected from. This is quite interesting. We are an international community, and it's good to know where you are from. And also use the chat, let's say, to address your question, but also your observation and as well your comments on what is being discussed during this 1 hour and a half. So feel you free to use the chat. And as well, please note that this webinar is delivered in 3 languages. The main language we use is English, but from the dashboard for the control panel at the bottom of your screen, you can select as well the Arabic language or the Turkish language. So we are using 3 languages and we have the simultaneous translation. So take a moment to look at the screen, open the chat and select your preferred language. So let's go to the agenda for today. So today we would like, let's say, to introduce the club Teaching with Artificial Intelligence and share with you lesson learned in the first 6 months of our work.
Ya,
I'm one of the content leader.
iyi canım hep anlamadım her şey tamam. Garip bir
Please
şey.
close your microphone if you are not talking. Thanks a lot for your collaboration. Then, so we will do this with the content leaders. So to really give some takeaway of what we learned from the first 6 months. And then, as usual, we have 2 guest speaker, international expert that, let's say, we will bring their view and some insight. We will start talking about antagonist artificial intelligence with a great expert, Ton van Beek, and we reflect on how AI can accelerate creativity and innovation in education. So as an accelerator. There is a lot of debate, but let's try to have an antagonist approach with the use of AI, not just to simplify or helping, but really as a booster for innovation. Then we are very glad to have with us Rasmus Amberg. I hope my pronunciation is good enough, but Rasmus basically is leading a very similar initiative promoted by the European Commission that is called the Digital Education Hub. And we have been in touch. We exchange a lot of approaches, information, tips and tricks on how to engage online and in different way, let's say, our members and to do something meaningful. So we will see what the Digital Education Hub has in pipeline for 2025. Then we want to present as well as the output of the first 6 months of the club teaching with AI. We developed an interactive online guideline. And so this is the moment where we present what we have done collectively with the members of the club, what we have done for teachers to help them to really properly introduce in their classroom. Okay, and then we will look ahead. The club teaching with AI as an initiative of our community will continue in 2025. And the more we understand about AI, the more we realize we need to look to specific aspects. So we have a list of topics, and together with you, member or not member yet, I would say, of the club, we will discuss together how to, let's say, what topics to cover and work together. Let's move to the next slide, please. So now this is let's say a few notes about the club. So the club has been launched in June. It was very successful. I mean, in terms of it's very broad geographically. We count more than 50 countries participating from EU and non-EU country. We have from New Zealand, Australia also participants. And to be part of an international community, it's really a good opportunity to learn more and to have very different perspective. Normally, we have teachers with us, and so it's a community of for and with teachers. As we say, we want to look to innovation in teaching and learning, taking the lens of artificial intelligence. And here, so we organize, let's say, a regular meetup online, like today. But we had also a couple of opportunity to meet in person with some of the members. And so we try to blend international events. So if you have an international event in your country, please put it in the chat, and we will see how we can connect to this event or contribute as a club at the club. But now let's move to the next slide. And I would like to introduce the content leaders. And with the content leaders, I would like really to look back in this moment of what we have done in the first 6 months. I have a quick question. So in a way that we can together explain what we have done in this first part of the journey of the club. And I would start with Selçuk. Selçuk is Selçuk Yusuf Arslan is one of the content leader and is a fantastic teacher. So I'm very glad to be to work with him. Is a teacher in computer science. It's involved in several international initiatives and is one of the content leaders. So, Selçuk, I would like to ask you, what did you get? You have such a broad overview, international view. So, what do you get from the club to assist you in integrating AI in your classroom? What did lesson takeaway you get from the club?
Thank you, Alessandra. Hello, everyone. As a content leader of this club, I have received great support from the club in integrating AI into my computer science classes. The club has provided valuable resources, insights, and collaboration opportunities that have helped me use AI effectively in teaching and learning. One of the most important contributions was the presentation that increased awareness of AI's potential in education. These presentations helped me understand not only how AI tools work, but also how to use them responsibly and effectively in the classroom. With this knowledge, I have integrated AI-powered content development strategies into my lessons, allowing my students to learn at their own pace with personalized materials. In addition, the club encourages important discussions about ethical AI use and digital literacy. This helps students develop critical thinking skills while working with AI technologies. Through discussions in breakout rooms, I explore new ways to engage students. Instead of simply using AI-generated answers, I encourage them to create AI-powered applications, examine unfair patterns in algorithms, or present their findings interactively. This helps students learn more deeply and develop creative solutions. Moreover, AI tools have helped me automate tasks such as grading and providing feedback. This has saved me time, allowing me to focus more on mentoring students, improving their problem-solving skills, and fostering creativity. Thanks to the resource and best practices shared by the club, I can use AI in a balanced way while focusing on critical thinking ethics and responsible AI use. In conclusion, the club has provided great support in my journey to integrating AI into teaching. Through presentations, discussions, and innovative teaching strategies, I can offer my students a more dynamic and feature-ready learning environment. Thank you.
Selçuk, you mentioned so many points, so that's great. But what my understood it's to have to really personalization of learning. This is something that we are struggling in education, and it could be really a good alliance teachers AI in this respect. And the good practices that we collected and resources. This is incredible. From all over the world, we had this example of how teachers are implementing this in their classrooms. So thank you very much. Tatiana, I would pass, you are a content leader. You joined the club a bit later, but you had a very active role. And you, as a senior expert in education, mainly in Ukraine, but also internationally, I would like to reflect on how the club can inspire teachers and school as a community of teachers in identify good use of AI to address specific challenges.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Alessandra. Actually, the club members are also very diverse, right? And we all face different challenges. And we are also all in different stages of our integration of AI into educational practices. Some of us are only investigating the potential. Some of us are already casually experimenting, and some of us are pioneering innovations. And the roles of all the club members are also different. Some of us are lecturers, or teachers, or researchers, or administration in different establishments. So, and in spite of this diversity, I think the community and the club brings a lot of joint and collectively gathered information, which is great actually, so that together we can spread the seed of effective AI in education. Together we can share good practices, learn from each other, tailor our communication, and make AI cooler and more efficient. And we also may change the way we solve educational and pedagogical problems and reach our goals which each of us has in their job, in their workplace. And I'm proudly can share, and maybe I will speak about it in details a little bit later, but we do have the approach which was provided by ILO, the ETS of ILO, International Training Center of International Labour Organization. And this is the 6-step approach, when you have the pedagogical issue, when you have the pedagogical challenge, how AI may be helpful here. So later on, when we'll be presenting the guide, I will intervene and tell a little bit more in detail. But anyway, the community and our joint efforts and our joint knowledge and joint skills add value to each other. And this is so great.
Thanks, Tatiana. And your answer, it's really recalling me a discussion I had just yesterday, that there is no average teacher Each teacher is different. Each classroom is different. So it's really important that we are aware of this. And when we talk about using AI in education, we really think to contextualize. And you refer to something that, Tatiana, you are going to present. This is related to the guide. So Tatiana will give you a tool to support you to see how to implement and why to implement AI in your classroom. In the meantime, I'm looking to the chat. I see that we have Esma from Turkey. There is North Macedonia, Ukraine, Lebanon. So it's Uganda. So from all the continent, we are getting connected. So welcome and keep on writing and using the chat to really share your view on this. In the meantime, I pass to another content leader, the Professor Sahin Dil, that was on board since the beginning. My question for you, Sahin, I know that in your work, everyday work, you promote science and technology. So this is another angle. And from your perspective, what is the most important takeaway, one takeaway from the club, from the first 6 months of our work together?
Thank you, Alessandro, for this kind of crucial questions. I would like to say that as a result of our club activities since June 2024, we have created a guide on content that educators and STEM teachers can benefit from in both classroom and extra curricular applications. I actually find this important because it can serve as a guide for curriculum developers regarding the use of AI in education. So I conducted informational activities about our club's work in this context. I attended conferences, congress, and with the participation of teachers, education program designers, academics, science and technology experts, and policy makers, where I shared insights particularly on the outputs of the club, especially in my country. So based on my experiences, I observed that the outputs from the club activities and the educators who benefited from these activities in our country were informed how artificial intelligence can be integrated into education, because it's really a big challenge that can be set. So the concept of ethics in AI and which AI tools should be used in classroom and also extracurricular applications, and they applied them in their lessons. On the other hand, I conclude that the national efforts are being made by the Ministry of National Education of our country and also national institutions in our country regarding artificial intelligence, and more important is being given to national projects on how artificial intelligence can be developed in education. In this regard, I can say that I believe that the club activities have reached our target audience, but it is still necessary from my side to engage more subject matter experts. That's my point, Alexander.
Thanks, Sahin. And indeed, we need to develop a lot of expertise, and we need to invite. And soon I'm passing the floor to two experts in this area. And we need to learn, but we need also research, indeed, some evidence. But it's good that there are also bottom-up initiatives like the club, because we are experimenting already. And it's important that we really understand from each other some lessons. Sometimes research takes a lot of time, and we don't have time in this respect. So we are already experimenting. But Saina, you made a very good point. Then I would like to pass the floor to Ejil. Ejil Boy Orgul. She just organized a fantastic summit, a tech summit in Istanbul, where ETF was participating. So you are dealing with schools, with policy making, and you basically inspired the guide that we are going to present as a result of the first 6 months. We were thinking, what output, concrete output, and you presented, you had the idea to develop a guide. So what inspired you, the creation of the guide?
Thank you so much, Alessandra. It's really great to be here. So, as you know, during our first 6 months, working closely with schools and policymakers showed us that teachers need clear guidance on how to use AI in classrooms. And we saw that some countries already have strong examples of how teachers successfully integrate AI into their lessons. So, by collecting these best practices from different places, we created a single guide that teachers everywhere, like teachers here, can all use. And this guide is important for two main reasons. Number one is empowering teachers, which is crucial. So teachers learn specific skills and knowledge needed to use AI confidently in their teaching, and this includes lesson design, data ethics, and student engagement. And number two is providing a shared framework. So by taking proven methods from different countries, we help teachers save time and avoid starting from scratch. So the result is a more inclusive and effective learning environment for students, and no matter where they live.
Thank you, Gilles. And the teachers need support. And so this is the aim of this guideline that, let me say, we started, it's the result of the first 6 months, but we aim to keep working together. This is an open resource, and we are aiming to complement, top up, fine-tuning its component already existing. So Gilles is to be continued and listening and working with the teacher. So let's go to the next slide and start. We are just a couple of minutes later. So we mentioned the importance of learning from experts with a really multidisciplinary approach. And I'm super glad to have the Tom van Beek with us. We have been working for a year with Tom, struggling on innovation in teaching and learning, and more recently on artificial intelligence. Tom is a chief of learning innovation at the International Training Center of the ILO. And interesting, we are both based in Turin, so we have even this with this neighborhood it's really helping us to stay in touch and to have very good discussion. So, Tom, I would pass the floor to you. The title of your presentation is here. And so let's talk about what do we mean about antagonist AI and how it can be antagonist. The floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, Alessandro. And happy to be here and contribute to sharing that you're doing with this club. Just quick double check. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, when Alessandro and Fabio invited me to do this intervention, it's always difficult to talk about AI when almost every day you're confronted with a discussion, a presentation on AI. There's a bit too much AI going on right now. So I wanted to see if there's a kind of a different twist that we can give to it, specifically if you're all responsible as teachers for education. And where I will try to focus is on two ingredients, on innovation at the one hand and also on creativity. As Alessandro mentioned, I'm working here at the International Training Center of the ILO and running an innovation lab here. And we're also experimenting quite a lot with different learning technologies, and AI is one of them. So a lot of the reflections that come from there will be based on our personal experiences out here. Usually, when we talk about AI, there's always this kind of, kind of doom scenarios or what is going to happen and how, let's say, the entire job market will be changing. Luckily for you, I checked this slide out here, and I was looking into what the impact will be by industry sector. So we are the education sector, so which is quite still a very positive view. So you'll not be out of a job in about, let's say, 30 years from now. On the contrary, it will actually create additional opportunities. But there will be some jobs that will be fundamentally transformed and augmented. When we look into job sectors where innovation and creativity is quite central, you always see an element of, let's say, I would say, irreplaceability. I was looking at this kind of cartoon, which is actually kind of interesting on, hey, ChatGPT, finish this building. Your skills are basically irreplaceable. Well, a lot of the reflections I want to make also can be applied on basically teachers, because usually when you see this kind of science fiction reflections on what AI is going to do, it happens very fast that people say that we would be replaced by even not robots. I mean, here basically I'm talking about Sophia, which was born in 2017, but she's definitely not yet ready for, let's say, the classroom, even though she presents as a humanoid, even though now integrated by generative AI, even though integrated by a lot of very intelligent systems, she's still not, replaceable of any of you in the whole educational sector. So that's, let's say, my critical note on that. And maybe that's an important thing for you to do as teachers or trainers or responsibles for educational systems. Let's try to get rid of a lot of these myths that are out there on AI. The replacement myths, that's one of them. Or that AI will replace any face-to-face experience, or that AI can solve all related learning challenges, or that AI will eliminate the need for human interventions, or that it will make us as teaching professionals obsolete. I think that's something extremely important to do in raising awareness, specifically in a sector that is sometimes a bit dominated by edtech or by technology at the one hand. At the other hand, I'm always looking into, okay, what can we do with it? What are some of the opportunities out there? Alessandro was already mentioning it. It's going to be an excellent tool for personalization, contextualization, customization, intelligent content delivery. A lot of the different elements that you have been experimenting with, you probably will be able to categorize in one of these 8 different opportunity dimensions. Now, what I think is also an interesting effect, it's not just showing these kind of, personal learning paths, but what now, for example, when I was listening to Philippa Hartman, one of the, let's say, inspiring figures in this domain, you also can use, let's say, a whole bunch of different AI tools. I don't know what AI tools that you are going to use in your own club, but for every specific section in the instructional design of what a teacher needs to be do, there are very practical tools available now that you can actually use out there. This is a worksheet of Philippa Hartman that she was using in one of our recent workshops out there. But I would say these last 3 slides that I have shown, they are not new. They're basically a common thought pattern into educational conferences. And this is why I want to, I would say, bring a little bit disruption to the table and basically rewind in 3 different ways. The first thing that I would mention is specifically if we talk about the replacement methodology. I think even an AI can take an employee's job or whatever that is, it probably means that the job has been dehumanized just enough for a bot or a chatbot to take it. It's an important reflection that I would like to make here. What I see is currently missing in the educational debate or in the general AI debate is, let's say, the need that we need for more diverse, multiple perspectives on the topic. That's one element that you will see in my presentation. A second element, I would call it friction. And what do I mean with that? I had a discussion with the former Minister of Innovation, Paola Pisano, and she mentioned, well, when we used to learning was actually very hard. It was full of friction. It was actually struggling. It was sweating it out. While now, in the age of AI, we create a kind of a feeling that everything is seamless. Everything goes that easy. Everything accelerates. While this is almost the contrary of the learning process, which is hard, which is full of friction. So my question is, how can we bring back friction into the learning process in order to have it a bit more innovative and creative? And then, that brings us automatically towards how can we have more innovation in there. The 2 inspirational sources that I will use, I already mentioned Philippa Hartman. That's one. You definitely connect with her newsletter. You will find plenty of interesting elements out there. Another one that I would recommend is the one of Ethan Mollick. He's an American professor and living and working with AI, is also very accessible in order to find more inspiration out there. So I have to pay intellectual, let's say, property to them in a lot of the ideas that I will present here. Why innovation? Well, very easy. For me, it's my personal motto. I've learned this from Stephen Hawking, which in this unreadable language states that intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. The amount of change that has been happening. I mean, when we talk about generative AI, it's only 2 years ago, and the speed of change is basically mind-blowing. So as an individual, you need to adapt. But also not just as an individual, also our institutions. Our institutions are at that meso level when the rate of change outside your school, your organization is greater than the rate of change inside, the end is near, what we usually would say. Now, the problem that I have with education institutions sometimes is that we are quite slow in innovation adoption, and that we face the following issue. It's coming from Adam Urbanski. He says, if we always do what we have always done, we will get what we have always got. And this is a bit the starting point of my reflection now when we talk about integrating educational technology into, let's say, our organizations. So I want to present to you three ideas that could help also to nurture the discussion further what we have. The first idea comes from Mark Prensky, and actually reminded me that I'm already a little bit old in this field, because this article that he wrote is dated in 2005. And the article that he wrote was this. So it was actually in the age before generative AI. He says new things in new ways. He says for the digital age, we need new curricula, new organizations, new architecture, new teaching, new student assessments, new parental connections, new administration procedures, and so on. I thought that was an interesting element if we would apply that thinking also towards AI, because if you look at the history of educational innovation, sometimes we always do basically the same, just basically pinpointing to an image that you can actually see here and asking you where is the added innovation value of what you basically see here. Or maybe, reflect in a critical way of a lot of the AI innovations that I've seen is basically doing what I would
Her
call...
zaman yapılır da hastalık en önemlisi. Ulan dedim, Dilara.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was a question. If you have a question, feel free to do so, because I'm willing to interrupt everything. What I mentioned here is basically doing all things in new ways. When I look in this, is a lot of the different things that I see, from AI-powered textbooks to automatic grading to the AI chatbots that you're using for frequently asked questions. I think that's all very valuable. But the added value in terms of innovation and creativity is that we are basically using the same model. What we're doing is digitizing, and that could be a way forward, but I think we need to be a little bit more upstepping to really create something transformational. That would be my first element that I would like to ask. The second idea that I would say is, let's go a little bit more out of the box thinking. For out of the box thinking, I'm always asking people who are busy with foresight. One of them is Jim Dater. He says, well, any useful statement about the future should at first seem ridiculous. He illustrates that with a number of funny statements about the future that he found in the past that basically think about the future in a very strange way. Like one of them I show here. He says, well, this is a quote on the future in 1878. The Americans have need of the telephone, but we do not. We have plenty of messenger boys. This was Sir William Preece, the chief engineer of the British Post Office. So I'm asking you the same question. If you would think now about 40 years ahead and you would like to make a future statement about AI, what would that be? What kind of element would you basically say about AI that would look a little bit ridiculous if we would look at it 30 years ago? So this is a kind of an invitation of maybe put it into the chat box. I'm trying to follow it right here. So let me see if I can see your chats out here. Try to come up with a kind of a quote that would go. We have plenty of AI agents Didium is putting into. Interesting one. I think a lot of people are asking a lot of critical questions about the AI agents right now. Which other ones could you actually add? One of them that I regularly get is that AI won't have the capacity to react in an empathic, emotional, whatever way, because it does not have any self-awareness. Because any projection that you basically see on the future of AI has always a little bit of a science fiction element. If I refer to this picture here where the person is basically falls in love with his empathic chat bot agent. What I found interesting is that the reality or the science fiction goes sometimes faster than the science fiction. If you would look at some of the applications that are out there, I'm just referring here to Replica, the kind of AI companion who cares, although she does not have any self-awareness. There's quite a lot of chatbots actually already showcasing in this way. Or, for example, moving into what we call here the Neon, the artificial human who almost tries to create human-like experiences, which are of course not human, but which actually have a big impact on there. What I'm trying to do here is that we should ask ourselves more critical questions on AI and maybe think about our profession. What can we learn from AI about human learning? What if we no longer can distinguish what is real, actual, or true in the world around us, which might be very important in the world where we are living in right now? And if we look at the educational ecosystem, who are the new partners out there? Who are the new actors in learning, in training, and education? One of my favorite ones is this one. I may always use the what if question. What if we would use AI to ask better questions? Something that might be also very important. And maybe all the questions are not so exciting or as sexy as the ones that I've proposed, but there's a lot of boring questions that we have to ask, you know. These are just a few of them. Classes and courses are designed to deliver the same content at scale. How do we organize the logistics of learning, assuming we can deliver different content to people? The whole personalized learning track that Alessandro was mentioning. And I have plenty of these kind of what if questions that we should ask ourselves if we want to integrate AI in a meaningful way. My last ID 3 is that we are very much focused on AI these days. Of course, this is hype cycle. 2 years ago, we were focusing on the metaverse. In 2 years from now, we will focus on quantum. I don't know, but I think it's important to link it. And any, I would say, Cambrian explosion of AI offspring will occur at the intersection with other technologies and systems. And that's why we need what I would call a more ecological or a more holistic approach to assess potential threats and opportunities. If you want to read an interesting book about what are these future technologies, I would recommend Mustafa Seyleman, The Common Wave. He's looking on how artificial intelligence is going to intersect with other technologies. Is that with immersive technologies that we are using in the educational setting? Is that with other areas out there? So basically, in the future, we will need to ask ourselves AI in the middle of, you know, how is it intersecting with robotics, with mixed realities, with remote sensing, with blockchain, and all these different realities. Might sound a little bit far if you're now just experimenting with generative AI, but it will come close. For example, my team was basically testing their soft skills, basically public speaking through, let's say, VR devices in a very almost realistic format where they had AI generated feedback on how they were presenting, on how they were behaving, on how they were basically using the words and so on. So there are a lot of educational applications that move into this direction where AI, you find it at the intersection of other technologies out there. I have to see because I'm almost, Alessandro, how am I doing in terms of time? I think I need to.
If you can close in 2 minutes to
Okay.
have time for questions, because there is the chat that is exploding with many comments. So
Okay, good. Well, then I'll try to wrap up in 2 minutes with final reflections out here. And it goes again more into the critical dimension. I heard in the beginning that you said we use AI because we basically gain more, we save time. There's an increase of productivity. I think these are all valid reasons that we have to nurture, but we also have to ask ourselves the question, more is not always better in one way or another. Philippa Hardman, she said, we're so much focused on becoming more efficient that we're sometimes forgetting on what is the effect of it, like that we are so efficient that we're not effective anymore, she said. So it's like progress is not about size or speed as much as it is about direction and vision, I would say. And with educational technologies, that's fundamentally important because if we do not have a vision, that means that we're going into the wrong direction. And you know what's happening if we go into the wrong direction? The following: if we are going in the wrong direction, technology will get us there faster. Maybe another reflection that I would bring in, the Secretary General here, he said, like, if you look at the most important skill of the future nowadays will be the metacognitive capacity on how do we learn, basically learning how to learn. The fact that we have to learn 2 years ago, generative AI did not exist into our world. We had to completely adapt and learn something new. This will be the reality of the upcoming 2 to 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. So how do we basically keep on learning, unlearning and relearning will be an important attitude to have into our mindsets. On the other side, another famous professor said AI will become the calculator for writing. I think all the experiments that you're doing with ChatGPT, Claude, Cursor, whatever tech you are actually using is good, but always reflect upon what you learned. Einstein mentioned in one, experience is the hardest kind of teacher. It gives you the test first and the lesson afterwards. So in this club, it might be very important to reflect a lot in action on what you have been doing actually together. Finally, feeding an AI the entire internet does not make a teacher. That's definitely a quote that I want to put central. You see here the Google's artificial brain learns to find cat videos, very popular among AI right now. And maybe also finally my favorite inspirational quote of, if we would have to combine AI and teaching, for me, it's still the art of teaching is still the art of, the art of AI teaching is the art of assisting discovery, assisting curiosity, assisting creativity, and assisting innovation. So that's it from my side. Back to you, Alessandro. There will be some links that I already provided. One of them is a game board that we have developed on AI literacy through Play. So that's an article that is in there. I also can send it. It's a kind of an AI-infused generative board game, which is actually kind of funny to do. And there's also a free masterclass, which also addresses some of the topics the other speakers were mentioning, for example, on ethics, on responsible use of AI, and so on. There's about 10 speakers from the, let's say, our team and networks that are into this masterclass. So that's it. Over to you, Alessandro.
Tom, thank you very much about your quotes, about your aspirational, really view and vision about artificial intelligence in education and training. Transformative. We need to be ridiculous. We need to have a vision. I think we are still not there. And but of course, before addressing, I would have tons of questions for you. But I want to hear whether, Roberto, you have identified. I see that in the chat we have a lot of observation, question, reflections. Roberto or Fabio, Fabio Nascimbeni, if you are here, you are welcome, of course, to join the discussion. I don't see you because, but I'm sure you are here.
And of course, I have a question for Tom. It's stronger than me. Thank you, Tom. Can I go?
Okay, let's first go to to Roberto for giving in a nutshell the view. Then we take a moment. I pass the floor to you, Fabio, for a question, and I give up to my question. I give up to my question. Okay.
I collected several questions from the participants. And
take one. I mean, go through an overview and select one, if possible.
Okay, so for example, people are wondering how it's possible to ensure the use of artificial intelligence, trying not to affect students' critical thinking and authenticity of their work. I think this is one of the questions that affects everybody in general.
Yeah.
And what we can do with the lack of infrastructure in classes if we want to use AI and we don't have money enough to buy the proper equipment. And if there is any new research on cognitive sciences and the impact of artificial intelligence on it. The other question is about the quality of the content, and this is very much related to the one that I read before. And the other one is that maybe Tom can decide what to answer. How is possible to help the students to increase their critical thinking and using at the same time the artificial intelligence? Because I see that 2 or 3 questions were more or less about this focus. So if Tom wants to try to give an answer, thank you.
Fabio, would you like, if you have your question as well, and then we pass the floor to Tom in a way that is try to wrap up and give an answer to all the very good observation.
Sure. My question is somehow connected to the one of infrastructure, because as you know, many of our participants, it's great to see so many connected today, come and work in difficult environments, sometimes in emergency education environments. So my question for Tom is about, expectedly, about AI connected exclusion dynamics and inclusion dynamics. So the question would be, how do you think, Tom, that such a antagonistic approach, or such a critical approach, could help in using AI for including more learners and more trainers instead of becoming an exclusion leverage?
Tom, the floor is yours.
Thanks. I don't have the capacity like ChatGPT to now immediately have a kind of a synthetic answer to all of them. But a lot of useful prompts that actually were generating additional questions in my head. I'll start with the critical thinking out here. And it's a little bit, how would I say it? The second idea that I actually mentioned that AI should basically support is in generating actually new questions. And I think I see a lot of virtual tutor type of initiatives popping up, but I think we should learn to basically generate our program more in an antagonistic way, so that these tutors basically position themselves as, how we call them, thinking partners. So just not providing answers to us, but maybe asking interesting questions. If I would ask my virtual critical companion, what is the capital of France? That's not an interesting question, because we all know what it is. But what if instead it would basically go in the antagonistic way, and it would ask me, a question that triggers, again, critical reflections? What if he asked the question, how would you redesign Paris to be a more sustainable city? That could be a critical companion that brings me to the next level. And that brings back the friction to the game that I've seen a little bit disappearing in how people have been using AI these days. A lot of the use is almost, if I look at some of the answers that are generated by some of the ChatGPTs, that's basically amplifying averageness. And so we need more friction. That's what I would bring into, let's say, the game. Then to your second question, again, digital inclusion, every single educational technology has been confronted with this question. We ask exactly the same question to AI right now, what we were asking before towards the metaphors, what we were asking towards e-learning, what we were asking towards LMSs. So my general approach would be the same, but I hope now that I see so many accelerations happening that maybe we are ready for a second leapfrogging type of moment. When I saw, let's say, the kind of mobile revolution which took place in a lot of different elements. If, for example, these critical companions that I was talking about, if we basically would have the capacity to bring these kind of chatbot related kind of programs into what I would call micro mobile learning formats, where I basically could interact directly with my mobile phone and have a kind of a critical friend. We have just launched a program on micro mobile learning where we use Winnie as an application that goes through WhatsApp. So no computer, no other device needed. And we basically interact with the audio device by actually speaking in one way or another. So that could be a way to have low tech also integrating AI or generative AI. But as I said, AI is much bigger than all these things. And what we need to see is on the slow tech or low tech spectrum, what other possibilities are there. But for me, it's mainly, the future is mobile. That's already what we have been saying for the past 20 years. I think it will be at the intersection of mobile devices and AI that we will find also low tech solution. So that would it be for these two answers. If people want to connect more, you can find me on LinkedIn. So that's the easiest way to connect with me.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, really. In the meantime, other questions are coming in for you, but I would say I would move to the second keynote speaker of today, and perhaps we will take on board these questions for Rasmus. So if we go back to the slide just a second to properly introduce Rasmus. So Tom is on LinkedIn, is really an inspirational expert. We learn a lot. I hope you take some note, some takeaway with you to create more friction, to be more transformative in your approach, in your curiosity with how to employ AI in your classroom. So now it's time, because we are running a bit late, but just about a few minutes. It's time to introduce Rasmus Bank-Hamburg, team leader of the Digital Education Hub community that I mentioned already at the very beginning of the meetup. So with Rasmus, we focus on what is new for AI in education and training with the Digital Education Hub in 2025. So what do you have in pipeline for 2025? Just to mention that digital education, of course, is not just AI, but it's about the let's say the pedagogical use of technologies overall. And one aspect is artificial intelligence. So let's focus on this, Rasmus, and let us know what you have in pipeline. The floor is yours. Open your microphone, please.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, super. Thanks.
Good. Forgetting to switch on my mic. I've never done that before. Okay, so thank you so much for the invitation. Very, very nice to be here. I will talk a little bit about AI and what we are doing in another very interesting initiative called the European Digital Education Hub. And I see at least 2 people here in the crowd who have been active in our working groups. So hello, very nice to see you.
Don't be jealous, huh?
So let's start with a little, if you can just give me any indication, have you ever heard about this initiative, the European Digital Education Hub? Can you give me a thumbs up on the reaction if you have, or a surprised face as a reaction if you have not, just to give a little bit an idea here. Okay, I see some.
So they are using the chat, or you can do it from a reaction as you prefer. You can also do by reacting like this, for example.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. From what I see here, it seems to be maybe half-half. So at least have some of you heard. Great. So let me give you a short background here. So first of all, this is an initiative from the European Commission, but I know that many of you in this group here are not from EU countries, but don't worry about that. The fact that it's a European Commission initiative does not mean that it's closed to non-Europeans. Everyone, including all of you, are very welcome to join. You can join our discussions online. You can take part of our resources and so on. I will explain some of this in a minute. Can you
so please close the microphone.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So I'm working for an organization based in Germany that is running this hub on behalf of the European Commission. And we have right now a community of about 7,000 participants. So that's quite nice. Actually, I checked this morning, we're almost 7,500. So I guess I should update my slides for next time. Quite importantly, we are cross-sectoral and Europe-wide. Cross-sectoral means here that we are working not only on higher education, but also school education and vocational education and training, adult learning, and so on. But all of it has to do with digital education. And of course, AI is a very important part of that. And I will get to that in a minute. The hub is, what we officially describe ourselves on is an open, inclusive, supportive, and practice-oriented community for digital education stakeholders. Now, stakeholders here means teachers, policymakers, administrative staff, professors, or pretty much anyone who has any kind of interest in digital education. And the hub started in February 2022, and it ran at least until 2029. Why is this relevant? Well, I'll tell you in a minute. In this hub, we have different activities. We have some online working groups, we call them squads, that run on a particular topic related to digital education for about half a year. We have some workshops. Funnily enough, they are face-to-face workshops. And here, I need to disappoint you. The face-to-face workshops, the travel costs are only covered for EU nationals, but still, the rest of the stuff you can join also from non-European countries. We have a lot of publications and best practices, reports, stuff like that, also on the topic of AI in education. We have a whole series of webinars where we dive into different topics related to digital education. These are also open to anyone, and they have not been in the past, but I saw some people on the chat here asked if this is recorded. So the webinars starting this year will be recorded and made available later. For those interested in higher education interoperability, a very maybe a specific topic, we have a couple of mini MOOCs, so massive online open courses that will start this year. And then finally, we have a lot of community activities, which are different formats, different online things related to digital education. Okay, one interesting aspect of this platform, the European Digital Education Hub, is that the topics are not decided by me or by the European Commission or by anyone else, but by the community itself. So people can suggest topic, anyone can suggest a topic and say, I want to have a webinar on this. I want to read an article about that. I want to have a workshop on this, and so on. And then we vote on it. And you can see on the slide here how it happened last time. So we had 400 people voting, and then you can see which are the most interesting topics. And here we have, for example, the future classroom is the most liked topic. So we will have a workshop and a working group on that this year. And also some of the other topics we will do something about. Okay, so that was just a brief introduction, but now let's look into the topic of AI, which is, of course, the conversation topic of today. So I mentioned that the hub was launched in February. That is true, but we really got going in May. That's when we opened it up for the whole public. And as I'm sure all of you know, the new ChatGPT model was released in, I think it was November 2022. So right when the hub got started and got a lot of interest, then this topic exploded. Of course, as you know, AI existed as an interesting topic in education before that, but in November, give or take, this topic just got so interesting for everyone in the hub. And pretty much anyone we met on the hub, online or in face-to-face, they started talking about, oh, what is this ChatGPT and these other tools? What will this mean? What will it happen to education? What is it going to do for, well, Tom mentioned here, is it going to take all our jobs away? Well, probably not. Is it going to change some jobs? Yes, probably. What does it mean for online assessment? What does it mean for this and that? And I would say that it was a mix of excitement and caution. Many people were rightfully cautious and say, maybe we should be a little bit worried here, but many people were also very, very excited about it. And what did we do about it? Well, we decided, let's jump on the train. Let's do activities. Let's make people on the hub, let's make them share their stuff and learn from each other and learn from experts and so on. But before I tell you exactly what we did, let me have a look here about the mix of excitement and caution. Where are you on this? So I'd like to see another reaction. Are you great? This is fantastic. Then you can give me a clapping hands. If you think, it's probably pretty good, then you can give me a thumbs up. And if you think, no, this is scary, we should take it out of the classroom, you can give me a surprised face. Where do you think? AI in the classroom. Okay, so I see many clapping hands and thumbs up. Okay, so you are on the positive side. Nice to see. Maybe you're even more positive than the average hub community. I haven't asked all 7,000 people what they think, but I think they are probably a little bit more negative than you are. Very nice to see that. I'm also positive, by the way. Now, we started doing different activities, as I said, related to AI in education. We, did not abandon all the other activities, but we started doing a lot more. We had Ask Me Anything sessions where experts on the topic were online and people could ask them questions. This was quite popular. It was especially popular because we had some other Ask Me Anything sessions on other topics, which were not engaging at all. Like almost no questions, no one showed up, no one was interested. But here, people were very, very interested. We had a series of webinars on different topics, including stuff that have been mentioned here, online assessments with AI, how are we going to go about the job market, what does it mean for teaching and learning, and so on. We also had 2 specific working groups. As I said, we have online working groups on the hub, we call them squads. And they came up with quite interesting topics, quite interesting reports. I will share the slide in a minute. We had some also more concrete series of activities. One was an online workshop called Using AI to Create Grading Rubrics, also a couple of other ones. But this is very interesting because the feedback we have gotten from the community is that, yeah, we want to learn about practical use. How can you use this practically? We had another webinar called Shaping AI as a Public Good in Education, which was looking more at the broader policy side and the societal impact and so on. And one person said in the feedback form, yeah, look, this is stupid. I want to have practical advice. I don't want to hear you talking about fluffy puffy projects on, European level. I want to see what can I do in the classroom. Okay, fair enough. So that's something that is clearly very, very, very interesting for our community.
Mm-hmm.
This is the squad output. On the left hand, you can see it's called AI report by the European Digital Education Hub's squad on artificial intelligence. This was super well spread. Many countries took it up and they shared it with the ministries, with their high-level experts group, and it was a basis for quite a lot of discussions. The report came out not so long after this topic quote unquote exploded, and many people were rightfully very interested. So this one looks at how can you go about AI, how can you use AI with teaching, what are the things we should be careful about, how can you think about it when you plan your lectures and so on. So very, very interesting. And on the right hand, there is it's not a nice formatted output because it's still under review, but it will be a very, very nice document looking at the legal side of things. Like you might be aware that they just it's not so recently, but quite recently came the EU AI Act, so an official legislation on the European Union on AI. Many people are also interested in that. And here is a document that, among other things, looks into this legal side of AI. Also quite interesting and quite relevant. And yeah, this
Rasmus, if you could wrap up in a minute, because we would like to have a time for questions and a quick talk on your presentation.
I'm sorry, yeah. So I will speed up a little bit. We have many plans for 2025. We have another online working group and a workshop. We had a webinar already. We have planned a couple of activities. You can see them here: AI open educational resources, AI and complex classroom scheduling, AI and online assessments, and AI and biases. As you can see, I wrote some of them are not confirmed yet, but again, AI and practical stuff. If you're interested in this, join the hub and you can learn more about it. I just maybe should mention what I think about all this that I have learned from the people and hanging out with the people on the hub. I think this is super, super interesting to be in this time. Many people, as I said, are worried. Just recently, I think this week, there was a report out showing that 92% of students in the UK use AI in one form or another. So in other words, almost everyone. I really think this change is so profound that we just have to deal with it. We have to learn how to go about it properly. I think this can be compared with actually the use of Wikipedia. So I was born in 1982, which means that when I was in school, there was no digitalization at all, no online stuff, absolutely nothing. Then when I came to high school, give or take, then Google and Wikipedia was around. And then I remember some people said, oh, but now how is this going to change in Wikipedia? Should people just copy pages of Wikipedia and write there in the assessments? And of course, no, this didn't happen. After some years, we had learned that, yeah, Wikipedia is great for checking up background information, but you cannot use it in an academic writing, and everyone knows this. And we don't need to have a policy on it. It has just developed. And I'm thinking this will kind of be the same as maybe in 20 years. We will look at that and with ChatGPT and say, look, this is crazy. How come we were so worried? We will be fine. So I think until then, what we can do is to at least play around and have a little bit of fun, which I did this morning. You see, I called the presentation Inside the European Digital Education Hub, 7,000 Voices Shaping AI in Learning. Now, if you use ChatGPT, you can clearly see that this is a ChatGPT suggestion. I asked it to give me a couple of nice suggestions for this webinar, and I thought this one was pretty nice. And I'm pretty convinced that in the future, we will look back and say, oh, this was so stupid. You know, using ChatGPT for these lame title slide presentations, that was so weird. Well, let's not do that anymore. But more importantly, until we know where we're going, until we know what's going to happen, I suggest the best thing we can do is to be ready to learn about the topic, to learn from each other, to share things with each other, and to be curious and open-minded to learn things. And I think that both this ETF International Club and the European Digital Education Hub are fantastic places for doing so. So let's do that. Let's stay alert and learn from each other. And that's it. You see my email address there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Rasmus. I mean, this is, let's say, really for introducing what let's say the hub is doing. We have similar initiatives, so it's very important. What we have to really try to do in 2025, this is a live proposal. It's really to have a moment together where with the two clubs, let's say the two community, try to make an hackathon or something that really could really join our forces. We need to think about something to do together, because the more we are, the better we can really be transformative. I recall again what Tom was mentioning, and more to create frictions about ideas. So I don't know, Roberto, if you want to pick up a question, a very quick question from I saw that there was a lot of participation. In general, I would say Erasmus, quite a positive interest approach in somebody are really enthusiastic. And so, but Roberto, pick up just one question if possible, because we are running a bit late.
Just a quick information for everybody, because I see it in the chat many times. People are worried about missing something, so don't worry, you will receive a link to an open space page with all the presentations and the recording of this webinar. So don't worry. I think that I read an interesting comment about the change that maybe we will have after artificial intelligence by Richard, who says that maybe the education objective might shift from knowledge acquisition to developing adaptability, critical thinking, creativity, critical reasoning, and ability to effectively collaborate with AI tools. And I liked this sentence because it was also some way connected to what Tom and also Rasmus were reminding before, especially the importance of learning to learn. And one question that we can try to answer, I don't know if Rasmus wants to answer, but we can try to help him about the ethical concerns, especially in the classroom. So we are talking about artificial intelligence for education, for classroom, for schools. So how, if you have some suggestions on addressing ethical concerns, especially when dealing with students in the classroom.
Yeah, so I'll give first the official and then the unofficial answer. So the official one is that the European Commission are currently working on official guidelines on AI in education. There are already guidelines that were done right before the new ChatGPT was released in 2022. So they are, I mean, they're good, but they're almost outdated. So there is a new working group that will revise these guidelines. And in half a year or something, they will be ready. There will be some very nice ethical guidelines officially from the European Commission, blah, 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 very nice. But maybe what we can do already now, I think my suggestion would be just address it openly, that the teachers explain what is expected from the students and say, look, I know this is a big topic for you. I expect you to be honest. You can use ChatGPT or other tools for this and that, but you have to inform us about it. You cannot pretend that something has been done and then pass it on as your own work. And quite likely the teacher will notice it anyway. But to address what are the ethical considerations we should have here in the classroom? What are we allowed to do? What are we not allowed to do? And to just address it openly with the students, I think this is the best thing we can do while we're waiting for, you know, maybe more official guidelines or rules or regulations.
Okay, so thank you very much, Rasmus.
Thank you.
I mean, just a couple of comments on the initiative in 2025. Of course, I like very much the one related to open educational resources. This is linked to what Fabio was mentioning about inclusion, because there is a production. This is a clear tendency if you look at the OECD report, international analysis. countries are investing a lot on a digital education platform. And it's important that educational resources are with an open, Creative Commons alike license to ensure inclusion and to ensure that everybody have more opportunity to get free access to these resources. So I'm really interested to what is happening. Then there is a question really in, you can address an email, but how can I get in touch with your initiative or the Digital Education Hub? So if there is a web page where to express the interest.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would say the easiest is to just Google European Digital Education Hub and click on the first thing.
Perfect.
But if I understood correctly, you will share all the slides. And on the last slide of my presentation, you can see both the link to the hub. You can also see my email address. Someone asked in the chat about my contact details. Don't hesitate to write me on that email address, so it will be shared with you.
But it's quite evident more and more that we need really to be, let's say, rise the bar of our ambition of AI in education. It's not just more efficiency. It's not just about making something, but really to make changes in the curriculum. And my last comment, Rasmus, even I hope this is tentative in your list, the one about assessment. For me, I really, in the pedagogical use of ICT, I normally see that if we tackle assessment, and we reflect on how AI can support assessment. For example, how can support a shift from summative to formative assessment, where teacher has more and more time for a dialogue. I hope very much in your list that is now tentative will become a yes. But okay. Rasmus, a last short sentence and then we move ahead.
So this is indeed a very interesting topic. One thing is indeed to move towards more other forms, maybe more summative assessments in different formats. But then I also think quite personally, and really my personal opinion, don't go and say, the European Commission thinks that blah, blah, blah. But I think what we can do is also to go back and have the paper and pens exams. We sit with a paper and a pen in a hole and do the exam there. I think this is not bad at all. And maybe we should do that more often.
Okay, this is out of records, not officially, but it's definitely a possibility. In the meantime, before moving to the next last, let's say, session of this meetup, I would like to thank all colleagues behind this event. I see on my screen Ermina, who was really moving the things, connecting the backstage with ETF, with the keynote speakers. So thanks a lot. But now it's time to look to what we have collectively produced as the club Teaching with AI. So let's say it's the moment. So we did one thing in the club as a result, but we try to do it to focus. As Gilles, in her quick intervention as content leader, was, let's say, mentioning we need really to provide support, not just calling the expert only, but also engaging the teachers. And this is what we have done in the first 6 months, step by step, having meetups, giving what we call the homework to the community to really see what we can do, collecting resources. So now, Marta, I would pass the floor to you to introduce the guideline. It's good to have the link also on the chat so you can browse on your own. And this is Marta. I don't finish the word and I pass the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Alessandro. I'm Marta Tebura. I'm working for STEPS and I was involved in the final phase of the design of this guide that I hope you can see on your screen.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So it's a teacher's guide to AI literacy that we developed inside the ETF New Learning Club on teaching with artificial intelligence. I would like to start with a very short introduction about the process because it was very interesting how we work and how we arrived at this output. So you should know that it's a result of co-creation, result of a very long teamwork, basically involving two main teams. One composed of content leaders responsible for the structure, for the provision of content, and then the technical team responsible for bridging the content with technology, in our case with AI, in the design of the final outcome. Our idea was to develop the guide in a form of engaging, interactive, and visually appealing tool instead of a simple text document. And here I must say the AI-powered tools helped us a lot. We selected one, which is Gamma App, for presenting the content. Here, I would like to emphasize for visual presentation of the content, not for content creation. It is a very simple, very user-friendly tool, helpful in editing, in crafting the visuals without any, let's say, coding skills requested. So the guide is about AI and itself is integrating AI. So not only theory, but a real life practice developed inside the club. Let me go forward. So about when I'm talking about the club, of course, I refer to our community of members, the community of more than 300 members coming from 40 countries who work during 4 online meetings on this output, and this group was moderated by international group of educators, experts, and under the strong leadership from Alessandro. Inside the club, we set up one goal, and this goal was to create guidelines, simple guidelines for educators about how to use generative AI tools to create new learning opportunities. Inside the guide, you will find a collection of resources, of tools, which can help educators to start with the use of generative tools in different teachers' tasks, with a focus on skills needed by teachers for an effective, responsible, and meaningful use of such tools in education. So the outline, you will see it's quite rich. Of course, we are not going now to go through the whole document. We selected some parts, and now we will start with Tatiana, who will tell us a little bit more about how to effectively embed AI in the classroom. Tatiana, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marta. I'm here. So, and this is my pleasure to once again to present you the resources which were introduced to during the AI forum in Turin in September last year. And the forum was arranged, and this workshop on implementation of AI into education was arranged by, as I've already said, the ITC ILO. So all the tribute goes to them, and we are very thankful for them for sharing all this information with our club members. We only organize them in a way so it is readable, it is usable, it is useful for all of you. So if we follow, as I've already said at the beginning, we are all different and we face different challenges. And we also, our students face different challenges, and due to the variability, the challenges may be different. And also I need to mention that we may start using AI, just we came across a tool and started integrating it, or we set the guide or the policy in the educational establishment and we start using. But there is another approach, and this is problem-based approach. When we have the pedagogical problem, we have the pedagogical challenge, we may use this 6-step approach to face these pedagogical challenges. And first, surely we need to identify the challenge. It may be different. It may be whether you need to tailor educational content to individual student needs and helping diverse learners progress in their own pace. Or you may face the assessment challenge, and you need to provide instant feedback and track students' progress over time, constantly, not only during the tests in the end of this final test or terms tests. Whether you need to engage more students and you face the issue and challenge with motivation, or maybe you need to assist students with disabilities and to provide like speech to text or text to speech and other assistive technologies. You may also face the challenge how to handle administrative tasks for lesson planning or data analysis or any else. Or you may have the challenge of detecting learning difficulties or social emotional issues earlier, so that you may face these challenges. So whatever the challenge is, the first step is you identify what should be improved, why does it need to be improved, and what is not working well, and who is mainly affected. Moving further to step 2, then we start thinking and drafting the scenarios or formulating sentences how AI may face this challenge. But to help you, there is step 3. And step 3 is the ideation. And if you look attentively there in the end of the steps, there is a short link to all these resources. So you may have and you may use them in your teaching practices or your educational practices, all these ideation cards. The ideation cards so help you to step out of box and to look not to boil in the same broth, not to think with the same approaches which you're already using, but to use ideation cards in different categories, as I said, in 7 categories, to help you look out of box and help you see wider, either regarding deep personalization or content adaptation to surroundings or whatever the challenge is. And this is, as Tom said, as he likes, what if cards. So what if you can adapt content to each individual learner? What if, and so on and so forth. Moving forward to step 4, when you identify the challenge, when you think and draft this scenario, then you need to look only at this stage, you need to look into the AI applications or systems or AI tools. While looking at the tools, also it is very important to assess limitations of these tools and AI opportunities. When you look into them, there are also a set of ideation cards which are available according to the link, because they will help you also to see whether this is NLP or whether this is machine learning and analytics, what kind of AI applications you may need. After that, when you decide it and you analyze the tools, it is very important to analyze readiness, your personal readiness as an individual, if you are doing this for yourself, or the AI readiness of your organization, of your faculty, of your university, of your school. And then there are also several steps inside of this readiness assessment, which help you to identify the policy, whether this is infrastructure readiness or not, what is the capacity, whether it aligns with the growth in innovations of your organization and so on. And then you set an integration plan, how you will be using this AI. After that, we'll move to step 6, because usually, so it is not used intuitively only, but it is documented and captured. So who are the users? What are the pain points? What are the workarounds, how to overcome these pain points in usage models? And then describing the solutions and describing the future. As Tom said, again, I'm referring to you, Tom, if you're still here. So thinking about 30 years ahead, maybe this is too far, but then when you implement and see the feedback and see how it works and learn from your practices, then you should envision the future at least for 3-5 years or a year, how this learning integration of AI into pedagogical practices may help you. So please pay attention to the links which are provided in the tool so that you may follow all these templates, all these ideation cards, everything is inside. This is for you, and we are thankful to ITC ILO, and I think you will enjoy it and you will definitely benefit from this approach, because it will definitely help you to solve your pedagogical issues in a strategic, logical flow. So this is a kind of algorithm how to AI may meet your educational or pedagogical challenges. That's all from my side. Enjoy and benefit from it.
Thank you. We have to, Igil and Marta, please try to close in a couple of minutes because we are running a bit late.
Yeah, and the floor goes to Işıl, please. Dr. Işıl Boy-Ergül.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Tatiana. So when integrating AI into our education settings, it's crucial to explore the work of international organizations and establish frameworks and standards for responsible and effective AI use. So UNESCO's AI competency framework for teachers focuses on 5 key areas. Number 1 is human-centered mindset. So prioritize human rights and well-being. So understands AI limitations and biases. And number 2 is AI ethics. So learn about privacy, data protection, and fairness, which is really important for both students and teachers. So apply ethical principles in AI-driven activities. Number 3 is AI foundations and applications. So understand core AI concepts. So please understand how AI works and identify and use AI tools effectively in teaching. Number 4 is AI pedagogy. So like what we are doing here, integrate AI into lesson planning and instructional activities, design AI enhanced learning experiences for your students. And finally, number 5 is AI for professional development. So continuously learn, collaborate, and grow professional using AI. So as you know, every day, every other day, we just come up with like new AI tools. So as teachers, we also need to know about these tools, about their limitations and their advantages. So additionally, we want to also highlight the concept of explainable artificial intelligence, which is called XAI, is becoming increasingly important. So XAI makes AI systems and their decision-making processes more transparent, enabling teachers to evaluate outputs, addresses ethical concerns, and better understand how these tools work. This in turn empowers students to become responsible, ethical users of AI in the future. So as teachers, we all need to explore, all these UNESCO's framework for teachers, and you may want to visit the website and you can also explore the full document. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I would take the floor now directly. So it's everything online. The link has been already shared. So you have a toolkit for collectively discuss within your schools, within your classroom, why and how to integrate and plan a good integration in your lessons of AI. So this is about tailoring the intervention. Now, very quickly, this is the third component, I would say, of the guidelines. It's open. Please keep populating, sharing your resources. You are involved in an Erasmus project about AI or whatever. So click to find the resources that we have already collected or the practice that teachers has already collected. But we will do it. We don't have time to go deeper, but there are fantastic resources about AI inclusion, about AI assessment, etc., etc. Have a look on it on your own. Let's move ahead with the last part. I thanks, of course, Tatiana and Işıl and Marta for the presentation. Let's move ahead with the next slide where we basically, let's say we look ahead at this stage. So apologize if we take 5 extra minutes of your time. So if we could show the slide and go to the Mentimeter so we can go, okay. So I would, let's say now with your mobile phone, please, let's say, make a picture of the QR code. You will go in Mentimeters, and now we have a list of topics that we would like to propose to you, and together make a decision on where to focus with the guest speaker, with the homeworks, and etc., etc. So can you start? I assume that the Mentimeter link is also in the chat. Perfect. So can we show what we are collecting? And let's see what we have. So here, I mean, with Selçuk, we can comment eventually. So there is a lot of interest in creating AI literacies for teachers. Igil was mentioning the UNESCO AI literacy framework for teachers. You can find more in the guidelines. So if this is a topic, then a pilot of AI practice of innovation. So what we can do definitely is to really engage, let's say, some of you. If you add, let's say, a practice that you are experimenting in your school, we can invite you to make as a presenter in one of the meetup, and you can share and receive feedback, suggestions on how you could improve, or they can use these lessons. So this is, please keep on voting. We are going to close. It's clear, there are clear winners about the pilot, about literacy, also building AI skill of learners. I was in a meeting of the Commission yesterday, and we were discussing about how to really have good solution. And from the Finnish member of representing the Finland in the discussion was highlighting we really actively engage, especially in secondary education, these students. So the students shape with this, the teachers shape with students the application of the AI. They decide together. So this is another very important point. So let's move ahead. Please keep on voting. We are going to share everything. So just with some final remarks to close on time. There was, Fabio, you wanted to make an announcement. Are you connected?
Yes, well, an announcement.
Or what, let's say, something that you read across the chat.
Yes, well, actually, more than an announcement, I'm very happy because of some dynamics that I see emerging here. First of all, the cooperation with ITC Law and the Digital Education Hub. So thank you. We are not alone in pushing for this. And second, I saw some very interesting questions that go in the direction of co-creation. For example, one question was, can we translate the tool? Absolutely. The tool is yours. The tool is being produced by Teachers for Teachers, is fully openly licensed, so you can do actually whatever you want with it. You can even sell it if you want. The important thing is that you use it and it's used for the benefit of everybody. So in case you have ideas for translating, ideas for taking a part of it and use it somehow, feel free to reach out to us. And no, my idea, I put it in the chat before. Actually, I think we had, I stopped counting when I was at around 50 questions in the chat during the presentations of Tom and Rasmus. And most of these questions are actually very good. So I suggest that we keep track of these questions and we try maybe to answer to them through the club, because these questions are actually the needs and the doubts of our participants here. So I think we might maybe group these questions, which are not too different from the areas that appeared, and maybe try in a crowd intelligent way to provide some answers and maybe some tools and maybe some guidelines to them. So for me, these Thanks. Are the three points: cooperation, co-creation, and crowd intelligence. That's I'm very happy of this development. Thank you to all.
So and about this in this slide, we are just give you the opportunity to share your resources and your practices as well. So this guideline, as Fabio was mentioning, is available for free, and we aim to keep developing. Marta was highlighting, she discovered during a meetup, we was mentioned Gamma as a tool, and Marta used based on a document that we co-created mainly with the content leader, she was using, let's say, the tool to use. So it's really about co-creation and to put our intelligence and enthusiasm as well together. So thank you very much. So I think it's time to close. Oh, sorry for the small delay of 5 minutes. But it was very lively and interesting. And let me thanks, of course, all our presenter, the guest speaker of today, all the ETF colleagues that have been involved, Fabio, Ermina, and all the people like Marta, Roberto, and so Steps and Trisa companies that are really there is a little poll on the screen. If you just take a second to reply, to really give your feedback. Again, this is important. All the content leaders. So if we manage to achieve, I think quite a good solid tool, collecting things from all the parts. This is great. And the partnership that Fabio was mentioning with the Digital Education Hub with ITC-ILO will continue. So we are growing and we want to keep this to be the place, the square, the agora where we can meet and co-create. So thanks to all the participants as well. It was amazing to see what's happening in the chat. So we look forward to the next meetup.
And sorry, Alessandro, just one small thing, but very important.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your moderation. It was great. So it
Thank
made
you.
everything incredibly dynamic and fluid. So thank you so much.
Thanks. This is really emotional, and because I see that we are all together, we want to do something better together. And thinking how the world is going, let's do and keep working together in the club. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye. Enjoy the tool and resources.
Bye,
Thank you for
everyone.
cooperation.
Thank you.
Bye.